Well, welcome to It's a New Day Radio. It's a new day. I tell you, it's on and popping tonight. I got him back. He's back with me. Y'all push me, y'all text me, y'all inbox me, and y'all said y'all want this brother on. But listen, it's man's night, y'all. It's the men's night. And we got one woman on with us. It's gonna be fun up here tonight. I tell you, it's just a wonderful thing. Listen, I want to make sure you understand that the views and the opinions of this show have nothing to do with WCEG Radio. It's all about New Day and Dr. Keefe. So don't get it confused. Don't get it twisted. Just contact me if you got a question or comment about something you don't like. And you know, if you send that to me, you gotta take my response. Whatever my response is, you gotta take it. I want to introduce this man, a guy. He's back with my co-host. He's back with me all the way in Chicago, where it's probably cold as I don't know what. Let's welcome back the preacher. I preach, man, Ron Woods. What's happening?
What's going on, Bishop Farmer? How you doing, man?
Man, I am blessed. It's 72 degrees, and I've been out with the top down. I'm in a good shape. I'm having a great time. How about you? How's the snow?
It's kind of cold, but ain't no snow, so we doing good.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. My friend all the way from Las Vegas, he turned this show out week before last. The women was on fire, so I want to welcome him back. C. Reggie Rogers, man, what's going on?
Bishop Farmer, my friend, my man, what's happening, sir?
Oh man, you got it. It's good to see you. How things in Vegas?
Vegas is Vegas, you know, the city that never sleeps. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So Vegas is Vegas.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna come see you very soon. And listen, the ladies were complaining last to me that they didn't have really. I mean, they said Simone, who's not with us today, and Dr. Michelle, who's not with us. They said they did okay, but they wanted me to bring back this woman of God to fight for what they want to know, and for the questions. She's all the way from Los Angeles, California. She's a powerhouse by herself. Let's welcome Miss Kim KB Betty. Kim, what's happening?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here and represent, and we will have a gentle fight, but we will fight for the sake of relationships, not against each other. How about that?
Oh, she's so well spoken. She's so humble. So listen, let's get right to it. So here's one of the things. Oh, wait a minute. This is Valentine's weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is the time of Valentine's. And now it's time for people to get gifts and all that kind of stuff and show their love. Reggie, just tell me, is Valentine's once a year, or how often is Valentine's Day?
Well, I think in a relationship is all about showing your partner, because love is an action word. So when you say that you love your partner, it's more than just words. You know, it's action. Show me. If you say you love me, then show me how you love me. Show me how much you love me by showing through action. So I think that Valentine's is recognized as one day of the year, but in a true relationship, it can be considered every day. It can be considered once a week. It's all about that couple and how they choose to show their love towards one another.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm gonna come to Kim, but y'all know what? She couldn't stand it. She couldn't stand not being on. She wanted to make sure Kim had some support. We had it. We were over the number, and she came anyway. Let's welcome my sister from Louisiana. I call her the country girl. Dr. Michelle, God bless you. How are you? I can't hear you. You got your phone muted. Unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, man of God. I'm sorry. I say bless each and every last one of you all. I'm sorry for being tardy, but just forgive my head, not my heart.
Okay, you didn't want Kim. We were going, oh my God, you saving Kim, because we was coming
Happy
for Kim.
to see you.
I'm glad, woman of God, I got your back.
She got your back. All right, so the first question was talking about, this is Valentine's weekend.
Yeah.
And Reggie made a significant point. Love is action. Kim, what's your take on that?
You know, I want to say like the politically correct thing, but really what I'm focused on right now, and really almost every woman I know, is we are focused on self-love this year. And so in answer to your question, though, I think it's like any other holiday, like a birthday. Don't only honor me on my birthday, but then don't forget to honor me on my birthday. And then at the same time, though, like I said, I'm really focused on self-love. Self-love is in the air. And when you love yourself, you can love others better and bestow gifts on them. So I think it's a two-way street too, right? See, Reggie, I need to bestow love on you on Valentine's as well, not just sit and wait for it.
It's definitely mutual. I think it's an exchange. I think that when two partners are in a true relationship, as you just stated, it's an exchange that takes place. Even when we talk, it's an exchange that takes place. A dialogue is when two people have a conversation. A monologue is when I talk.
So what if you're in a relationship and that person don't buy you no gifts? Just period. They don't buy you, they don't give you nothing. They get well, I can't say that, but what is that? What does a real true relationship look like to you guys?
I mean, does it have to be a gift? I don't think of Valentine as a gift. I think of it saying, you are my Valentine, be my Valentine. Let me know I am yours, not necessarily with a gift. It's more so like C. Reggie said, with your dialogue, with your verbal gift.
I look at Ron, he looked like something ticking.
Well, I just feel like Kim said, if you value the person, they are the gift. All the rest of that stuff is material garbage. And I think that society and the day and time we live in, if you look at it, Christmas wasn't even over. And they were already putting Christmas stuff on the back shelves, Valentine's Day stuff on the front shelves. So they're marketing and monetizing this thing, and people are losing their minds to show from a material place what they don't know how to convey conversationally and through their actions.
Let me share this real quick, Dr. Farmer. My best Valentine ever, I was 5 years old, I want to say, kindergarten, and the teacher, they used to make us bring those little cards for everybody, right? Or they started doing it. You can't just give it to one. So that I had this one little guy, his name was William, and he decided I'm not going to do it. And he gave me all his pack of cards, like just all the cards. Like that was probably the best. It peaked there, see Reggie. that was it, right?
William was a player.
Yeah, exactly.
He started
and I remember his
too.
name, like,
Early.
where you at, William?
William is out there looking for you. So really the thing that
can I also inject here from a spiritual standpoint, though? From a spiritual standpoint, just to inject here, I think that when you are in a gratuitous relationship, that means that it's a relationship that two people are very grateful for one towards the other. When you're in that type of relationship, what you've been focused on, you focus on the giver and not so much the gift, because you're grateful that the giver has given you that partner, and it's not about the gift, because you understand that the gift can never give you the giver, but the giver can constantly give you the gifts, which is the partner to complement who you are and what you want.
Okay, we can go home now. That was it. I'm going from self-love to love of my Savior.
Okay,
You know
so
what,
that's
though?
okay.
I'm tired of that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We over spiritualize everything. That's why church people don't know how to have sex. I'm just keeping it real. And so we need to get down to the nitty gritty of it. The problem is there's a lot of false love when it comes to the love of the Father, because people don't understand self-love. I think Kim hit the nail on the head. Self-love is where it needs to be, because a lot of people are overcompensating in gifting because they don't have self-love. So their gifting is not because they love, but their gifting is because they want to feel loved. You get what I'm saying? So it's like they're offering their best. A lot of women do it. A lot of men do it too. They offer all that they are, and in hopes that somebody in turn will affirm them, because they don't feel loved themselves. They don't value themselves. They don't know how to go to lunch by themselves. They don't know how to go to the movies by themselves. Go buy yourself that teddy bear. You don't need nobody to do it. And it's not a Jesus thing. Lord doggone it. It's not a Jesus thing. It's a personal thing. It's a natural thing.
Good, Bishop Ron. That's good.
Talk about that.
Real good.
It's first natural, then spiritual.
Let's talk about that, because he said a relationship. A relationship has to do with, from a pragmatic standpoint, has to do with two people. Let's talk about that relationship. So if we're talking about an individual, then we'll individualize it and say, yes, of course, you must have a relationship with yourself. If you don't love you, you can't love anybody else. If you don't like you can't like anyone else. If you don't have a good relationship with you, of course, you cannot have a good relationship with anyone else. But that's not what he asked us. He was actually asking us about two people being involved in a relationship as it pertains to Valentine's. So if we're talking about two people. We didn't make this. I really didn't make it a Jesus thing. I said a gratuitous relationship because I just believe that the universe has a special way of being a master choreographer as it relates to bringing those two people together when those two people are ready to meet each other. A lot of times it doesn't happen until you're ready. That's that whole self-reflection that Kim has been talking about, as you are as well, Hill. It's that whole understanding where you are. But if you don't know what you want, then you'll keep going around in a circle because you don't have a target to hit. It's all about once you get to that place of knowing who you are, what's a fit for you, then that's when it can come to you. And that's the relationship that I believe that Farmer was talking about by two people.
Well, here's the thing. The problem is, and you know what, Farmer's supposed to be men versus women, but you know, I just got to keep it real. Got to keep it 100. The problem is 98.9% of the people that are watching, they don't understand the self-love piece. The majority of relationships, just to say 60 to 70%, let's keep it fair. 60 to 70% of relationships are not the type of relationships that the universe attracted to hold people to. You're dealing with a lot of dynamics. You're dealing with systemic racism. You're dealing with single parent homes. You're dealing with all of this. So dating and charm class, the millennials don't really know how to date. Do you understand that they have something called situationships where they exchange sex and they have an agreement for sex and kicking it, and then you go about your way and get out my space? That's the day we living in. We ain't living in a day where God is drawing two people together. Most of these relationships, if we're gonna talk real life, there are people who are either in situationships, sex ships, you get what I'm saying? Friendships with benefits. Yes. All these things are going on today. And these are the majority of the relationships that we have, that we're dealing with, the people that are watching, the people that want to know and need answers. And so, Kim, I believe your answer is where it needs to be. Self-love. If I value myself.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap it all in my bow. I know this was just the intro question, but you see, we're going to have some fun today, right? The thing about it is loving myself. First of all, a relationship. We're having a relationship right now. It can be men versus women or not. We're having a relationship. And what I was attempting to do was demonstrate it, because if I'm secure in myself, I can be secure enough to actually listen to C. Reggie, not to debate him. I call it transformational dialogue. And I bet we could talk about this all day, C. Reggie, because he doesn't have to try to change my mind, but he can change my heart. So I actually listen to him and can agree with him from his perspective, learn from it and go, wait a minute. In truth, if I'm waiting for a man in this ship that I got off the boat, just for the record, because of that for right now, not that I won't ever get back on, but I wanted to listen to him, and I listened to him and I'm like, you know, you're right. Because I can lavish myself and let God lavish me and feel just as turned on, just as satisfied, just as if I have love in myself and let my God love me too. So the point was really to listen to him and see it from his perspective and respect him and give it back to him. And then that doesn't mean I changed my mind, I changed my heart. That's the number one thing. And you're right about the self-love, because if I'm coming into this whole thing bitter, which that's the issue. A lot of us come into Valentine's Day bitter. Ain't nobody, never, he did this. I have these expectations. But if I can, look, ladies, I got this way. It took a long time, right? This is my year, right? To be this content within myself. So what I did is started self-love for me was I started to cleanse, cleaned out all the bad stuff in my kitchen, cleaned out everything. I'm on my, cleanse. That's what I did for me. I feel good.
Okay.
And the basis of all relationships is self. You can't have a relationship without you. So the only person that anybody will ever have control over in any relationship is themselves, because that's the basis of all relationships, it's self. To thine own self be true. Love thyself.
Dr. Michelle, what you say?
Love thyself first, because you can fall in love with a person and fall out of a love with a person. But I just want to put a cap on this, that you don't have to tell a person that you love them. You can show them, because you can tell me today that you love me, then tomorrow you hate me, even in relationship or without relationship. But if I am enrooted in you, if I'm enrooted in my husband, then I'm all the way in. If I tell my husband, if I tell you that I love you, I can turn my back off on you the next day. But if I'm enrooted in you in a relationship, I'm all the way into your heart. All the way. So there's a difference between me telling you that I love you, Bishop, then the next day I hate you. But if I say I'm 100 with you, which means that I'm enrooted in you, that means that nothing can come between me and you, because I'm enrooted in you. When you're planting something, what happens? It comes up and grow. So if I'm enrooted in you, then we're going to grow together. But if I'm in love with you, and the first thing that when we get into an argument, then things that come out of my mouth. But if I'm enrooted in you, then I'm going to be careful what I say, because I'm all the way into your heart. And Valentine is coming up. So just because many that buys you candy or buys you flour, it does not mean that they love you. You got to be enrooted in a person. You got what I'm saying? So I'm enrooted with my husband. So which means that it does not matter if sickness come, if whatever comes, I'm still 100 with him. But if I love him and if it gets so hard, then I'm going to pull back. So when Valentine's come, I don't have to buy my husband anything, because he already know I'm already enrooted into his heart. Gifts all the time don't mean that you love me.
And I think Ron said it. What happened to friendship? Like if you have friendship first, no matter what ship you decide to get on, and that's your business, you know what I mean? What ship you decide. But back in the day, we didn't ghost each other. Back in the day, we didn't just leave each other hanging. Back in the day, it wasn't like we lavished you for 10 days. And then like the guy said I had an interview, Dr. Farmer recently, and we interviewed single women and we interviewed single men, and all the women were like, what happened? You like treat me so good the first 2 weeks, 10 days, first month. And the guys were like, yeah, we treat everybody that way the first month. Then I open up the gift and I don't like it. And then I either dump you or string you along. Like back in the day, you would just say, you know what? I don't really like you like that. You have this, you have that. I'll be like, for real? I don't really like you that way either. And then we would be friends. Even afterwards, like I'm still friends with my old boyfriends, because we would talk to each other and say what we like, what we didn't like. This is not working. That's friendship.
You know, Kim, if I may interject, I think one of the reasons why people can't have authentic friendships is because they have interjected the God piece into the relationship thing. And listen, I'm a bishop in the Lord's Church, been a bishop since 2007. I'm pro-Jesus, absolutely. Pentecostal down to the bone. However, I have counseled women and men who have become borderline, what's that word when you stalking somebody and looking, it's escaping me now, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, we understand.
They become obsessive. They become borderline obsessive, that's the word, because they feel Jesus told them that these two people belong together, and one person has moved on and they got another life. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So that part right there, and this is why I say first natural, and the scripture says it clearly, first natural, then spiritual. If the natural has not been addressed, then you can over spiritualize and create a utopia in which God is on a whole nother plane. Now you need some help. You get what I'm saying?
That is so true. So I got a question. Someone asked us a question. Question is, can you love someone and not like them? Does that make sense? Can you love a person and not like you? Oh, so can you love them and not like yourself?
I'll answer it from Houdini. Houdini said the word love and like both have 4 letters, but they're 2 totally different things altogether.
Okay, that was really good there. All right. So okay, now let's go beyond Valentine's Day. Let's talk about relationships, and let's look at a relationship. What when we talk about the self-love, I heard Kim talk about self-love. the thing about being getting herself in a certain frame of mind to be whole on her own self. Reggie came with us 2 weeks ago about that situation somewhat when it comes to women not being ready, not being able to receive, and all those things. Relationships are difficult now because they're telling me that some women, based on money, Kim, they got enough money. They don't need your money. They don't need your time. What's the situation? So are we going away from the normal relationships because now we're woman on woman getting married, man on man getting married. There's very few man and woman getting married. So where are relationships in the whole? Where are they?
I don't have all my stats. See, Reggie, maybe you do, but I know it's a fact that, we don't need each other like we used to back in the day. There was a point in the relationship spectrum that men wanted to wait until they got themselves 100% together, which who was ever 100% together? So they were waiting. Women don't need the man anymore because we have our own. So we have to find a different reason to need than it to be money. And we also can admit that when we did need each other that way, there was a lot of abuse. There were things, that you couldn't get out of and things like that. However, there's other reasons to need it. My biggest fear was that I would become like some people in my family. I'll be careful because I don't know who's going to watch this, who didn't need a man anymore. Like that was actually my fear. I kept saying to myself, and I'm very transparent. I kept saying, gosh, if this person keeps breaking my heart and this keeps happening, I'm gonna get to the point where I don't need a man. I wasn't bitter. I was worried that I wouldn't need one. And that is why I say the self-love. Once I loved myself more than I needed someone for whatever the reason to have the baby. Look, at 20 something, I was having the biological clock ticking. At 40 something, after my divorce, I was having like the other side of the biological clock ticking. You know what I mean? Then the economy crashed for the recession. And then I needed a man for that reason. But once I didn't need him, actually, I'm a much better potential mate because I don't need in that way. Now I want to find somebody that matches me intellectually, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And let me just say this last thing to Ron before I pass it back, you guys. Ron, I believe it, but I have felt like I felt God had put me in the path of a man before. But let me tell you where mature love came. And I'm talking to bishops now and men of God and women of God. But I will say this. He also whispered to me, it doesn't mean that he's going to have the realization too. Like he didn't guarantee that. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. So like, whoa, he didn't get it. My bad. Then I'm listening and you're not. I was ready to move on because you're not listening to God. I'm not mad at you. Yep. You just are not where I'm at.
Wow. That's deep. Reggie. I feel you. Come on, Reggie. That was deep what she just said.
I like what she said. And it's not a matter of needing. It's a matter of wanting. No, we don't. It's not that we need. Some people want, and then some people get to the place where they outgrow that they may not even want anymore. They get content. So it's not so much that we need it. We've been created to be social. That's from the manufacturer. We've been created to be social. So sometimes we want to be able to look across and talk to someone and have a dialogue so that there is an exchange. But it's not so much that we need that, it's that we want that. And so, Bishop, what I did, because I looked at your topic as well, you were talking about, you said relationships one-on-one. That's what I looked at the topic.
Yeah.
So what I did was I think a lot of times there are these misnomers and these people are disillusioned. There's been their launching pad has been fractured, or so their launching pad has been scrambled. So the older we become, the more scrambled we are because of our early initial launching pad, how we started. So what I wanted to do in terms of dating and relationships, I wanted people to get a clear understanding that there are 8 types of dating relationship. 8 types of dating relationship. I think this helps people to get so that they can find out which one they are or where they are, which one are they in, because that's extremely important. And the first type of dating relationship is what we call that first love. It's so important because there's a reason that it's oftentimes called that first love and not your last love. You see, this is your first real relationship. And through this process, you learn how to go from me to the we mentality. And this is that learning stage. You're learning so much in that first love stage. And we learn from, they say, observation, we learn from experimentation, and then we learn from maturation. And oftentimes, as we've matured through that, it has already fizzled out and has already dissolved and it's so fractured. So that's that first love. But then that second type of dating relationship is what we call opposites attract. And in this phase is what there are too many differences, and too many differences can oftentimes tear a relationship apart. But differences are normal though.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal, but where the rubber meets the road is beliefs and values have to be similar.
Wow. I like that. Keep going.
And then you have that third is what we call friends with benefits. That's a dating relationship with friends with benefits. Have you just ever only wanted sex? I'm sure we got people out there, if there would be truth, that's all they ever wanted was sex. Nothing more complicated than just wanting to have sex. And the truth of the matter is, this is a casual relationship that you can enter in when you and your partner have this agreement that you only want to be bed buddies. That's it. You just want to be bed buddies. And for many, this can be very liberating. It can be liberating when you know you're not looking for anything serious. You just want to have sex. So that's that friends with benefits. But then you got that next, what I call is the rebound. The rebound is when your headspace is not in the right place. You got out of a relationship that most likely wrecked you, tore you up, messed you up, and instead of recovering in a what we call a healthy fashion, you quickly jump right back into a relationship. It's what I call that Tarzan Syndrome. You swung from one branch to the next in the jungle.
Keep going, Reggie. Keep going, Reggie. Don't stop.
But on the inside, you're still hurting. But yet you're trying to be in a healthy relationship. And a rebound is typically, it's called what we call impulsive dating. It's short-lived. It doesn't last long because you're using someone to get over someone else, and that's just not going to work.
Right.
So we got the rebound, but then we have what some of what we've been talking about here in this short while we've been together is what I call the recommended relationship. You got pastors telling you who you should date. You got your mom and your daddy telling you who would be a good fit for you. This is what I call the recommended relationship. Other people have told you you should go out with a partner or a different person because it looks good on paper. And although it looks good on paper, everything on paper that looks good ain't always good for you.
Right.
Talk, Reggie.
So you get into that type of relationship, but something doesn't feel right. But guess why you stay in it? Because your pastor told you that's the relationship you need to be in. Your mama told you that's the relationship you need to be in. Your daddy told you. But what about you? Who do you feel you need to be with? But you in this relationship because it's a recommended relationship and everybody thinks that's who you need to be with. And it looks good, but it certainly don't feel good for you. And you end up staying in it because everybody told you that's where you need to be. That's called the recommended relationship.
My God.
Then
Number 6?
Number 6 is the toxic relationship. This is the one that you will probably spend the rest of your life trying to get over.
Wait, Reggie. Don't go so fast. And you got to take it slow right there when you go in that one. Kind of take it slow.
That toxic relationship is the one that you'll probably spend the rest of your life recovering from, trying to get over. And it doesn't mean that they were physically abusive, doesn't mean that they were sexually abusive, but they did what we call this emotional manipulation. They used the emotional manipulation on you to make you question if you were at fault. And when you come out of that, you continue to question, not only were you at fault, but now you're questioning who you are.
That's good, sir. That's good. Okay, number 7.
The friend relationship. I think somebody talked about this, talked about friends, being friends. It's friend relationship. Have you ever gotten into a relationship with a friend? I'm sure many people have. Sometimes it works, and then sometimes it doesn't. And then you wonder why you guys were better off friends than you were in a relationship. Well, you probably never ever should have gotten into a relationship, but you were comfortable with that person. And now you're trying to get back to how do I become accountable and not just being comfortable.
That's good. That's good.
That's good. That's good, Reggie. And then number 8.
Number 8 is the one. That's the one. This is the relationship that everyone wants to find. It might take some time. It might take a little time, but don't give up. Don't compromise. Don't shrink back. Don't lessen who you think you should be with, or don't lessen who you think you deserve. Because the clock is ticking. Let the clock continue to tick. If it don't fit, don't force it. Because ultimately, by now, you should be very, very clear, very, very specific in regards to, as it relates to what you know is a fit for you. Because you have been through too much at this point to go back. You have been through too much to shift over to somewhere you have no business. And here's that other piece. Don't go back to what I call return dating. Return dating is when you go back to somebody that you've been with because, again, you were comfortable with that person, you know that person, and there's some familiarity. But then you have to think about why you were not still with that person, but now you're going back. It's what we call return dating. You don't want to go back. Go forward, because the future is so bright. Look at it like this. Look at it like this. When the people who had left, when those 10 who had leprosy got healed, the master says, go show yourself. Never said where, he just said, go show yourself. So somewhere as they went, they got healed. We don't know where. It was somewhere between a dark backwards and a bright forward. The thing is, be obedient to what you hear is speaking to you within yourself. That's that relationship that you guys were just talking about, the self-reflection, that self-relationship that you have with yourself, because the basis of all relationships is the self. So to thine own self, you got to be true. So when you get true to yourself, that's where the liberation really happens, because truth is the ability now that makes you free. So now you have this freedom about being happy who you are and happy with what you want, and happy because, watch this, now you have the spirit of expectation. Expectation is believing that it's going to happen. You just don't know when it's going to happen. But in the meantime, while it is happening, you are okay with being who you are.
Kim, what you saying, Kim? What you saying, Kim? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I think, yes. And what troubles me is that when we do find the one, we often wreck it, right? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because, and you might not know this about me, see Reggie, the rest do. I'm an executive coach, so I'm typically coaching relationships in the workplace quite often between a CEO and their right-hand person, or the team and each other, things like that. But it's all the same. The tragedy for us in our personal relationships is we are at work and most of us learn skills. You have to go to class or training, and you learn all these things to communicate and relate to one another. Some people can't do it in the workplace. Most people will do it because they have to in the workplace. We don't apply it at home at all. And so when you look at our lack of being able to relate and communicate on even the basic 101 level, how do we expect to retain the one? We're going to scare them off. We're going to mess it up. We're going to blow it. And so when I speak of like transformational dialogue, beyond, there's 5 phases that you go on, from small talk. And this would be Dr. Michelle, you know, in your relationship, you got small talk with your husband. You got just the facts. You do have to be able to depend on, you're going to pick them up, or I'm going to do there. What time are you going to be there? Are you going to order the food? So small talk, just the facts. That's pretty much the basic that we can all pull off. But then you have to be able to communicate what you think without putting other people down. Right. And so what do you think about it? Can you communicate it? Yes, you're vulnerable at that point because somebody can debate you. So if we go all the way back to the beginning of the conversation about, well, I'm going to juxtapose two. If you're talking about something as simple as Valentine's Day, what do I think about it? Let's have a conversation. It's coming up. It'll be here in 2 months. It's important to me. I know it's silly, but my mama gave my dad and my dad gave my mom. And I just think it's really important. And it's really important to me that we go out to dinner, that you show me a token. Well, I can't really afford it right now. I don't have any money. Well, then make something creative. You're a poet, then write a poem. What do I think? And then what do I feel about it? You know, we're going up to it. I say it's making love through communication. So now we're going up the peak there. And now I'm going to tell you what I feel. Like, I feel like you haven't been paying me attention. So Valentine is important to me this year, that we go out and we spend some time. It's the pandemic. I haven't been able to see you. Now you can finally see me. This is what I feel about it. But the most important thing is why I feel the way I feel about it. And this is in the workplace. This is when you're having a conversation with anyone. Why do I? Because this is what happened to me when I was a kid. This is what happened. This is what I heard in church. This is what, you know, my past. So when we can share these things safely, we can have communication. And the most important thing about the communication then is what is playing in my head before I even open up my mouth to share these things to you. What's the point? You're not going to do it anyway. The last one hurt me. This is a waste of my time. No, you think like this. What role do I play in it? Maybe I didn't even tell him what I wanted on Valentine's. That's why he didn't do it. Or I picked a guy that absolutely is only in it for the friends with benefit, and I expect him to treat me good on Valentine. No, he's going to run. You know that. Or is there some reason why he's not able to do it? Maybe he has kids and he's got to do something with his kids. Play the right record in your head. Pause and do that. So these communication skills become very important. And the other piece to just juxtapose it is when we were talking about the fact that I think that you are the one that God dropped on the heaven just for me. And I got all this pressure. The one becomes even more pressureful, right? Because I heard from the Lord last night. I know you hear people say that. But even Joseph had to have an angel come down and say, don't leave that girl. It is of me. It is okay. He had to hear an angel say it. So chances are he's not going to see it too, boo. He's just not. So we have to then be able to be compassionate and forgive. And like C. Reggie said, and if I'm not getting what I need and I can't give you what you need, then let's walk away with kindness. Don't ghost me. Don't be toxic about it. Don't be narcissist about it and gaslight me. So it's that relating and communication that we suck at. So before we can have relationship 101, we need to go back to communication 101.
I love that. I love that, Kim. I love that. We do have to go back to communication. Totally agree with you 100%. And there's an exercise that we do on communication, which is so important because the word communication, when you really break it down when you do this etymological study on that, you discover that the word communication really comes from 2 words. It comes from common union. And so 2 people, if they feel like they're going to put a plan together to be partners, then let's discover what is our common union. And then let's use that common union to create an agreement so that we can begin to use that as our launching pad moving forward. Because as we continue to go, we're going to continue to grow. So now, what is that common union? What is that thing that we decipher or that we have determined that's going to be that common union that we have so that we can go and grow. I agree with you 100%, Kim, and you said it so eloquently. It is about communication. There is a misfire in a lot of relationships when it comes to communication. And I think then you have to break that down too to get to understand core value. What is a person's core value? Because when you can tap into that, and this is another thing, you even go further into the dating aspect of it, which we talked about the last time. We talked about those stages to dating. Those stages to dating. Because when you understand that first stage of dating is all about the seeds. Is there commonalities? How's the conversation? Is there chemistry? Is there a connection? And so we determine how's the communication. And then that even sees if we even does this even warrant a date? Let's not even call it a date because it's not a date. I want to do a meet and greet first. Let's sit down and talk to see if it even warrants a date. That might happen one or two times. So those are stages that that we can even use to create that wholesome that relationship so that we can get to the one. Because you said once a woman gets to the one, she wrecks it. Well, it's wrecked because
or men too. See, Reggie, man or the woman, yeah.
Or man or woman. She goes,
it's wrecked. It's wrecked because we don't know how to. One, you got to be ready. Two, you got to know how to recognize, and three, you got to know how to receive. The receiving aspect is where it really gets messed up because it's hard to receive because you've had so many bad men or women in your life. So when it comes to receiving, you keep touching and trying to feel, is this real? For real? Is this really real? But yet this is what you've been creating in your mind.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask all of you this question, Dr. Keith. I totally agree with what C. Reggie said. And one of the things that I do with my corporate clients, one of my favorite clients actually allows me to also coach her and her husband, not only her and her team, but her and her husband. And so they're creating a shared vision. What are their dreams? What does it look like? What's their future? Same thing you would do in the workplace. What are the driving forces for getting there? What are the barriers? What we SWOT it. What's my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Like we do the whole bit. I was doing that at a Valentine workshop in 2005 in my basement of my house. And I had a bunch of couples together and we did that whole thing. We had couples together. They did shared visions, the strategic plan, the SWOT analysis. And then we started talking about what's the biggest barrier for you in a relationship. Some of them were married. Some of them were newly dating. Some of them were long-term dating. This has tripped me out for years. Every one of them, each table said fear. And it blew my mind. And it was like getting late, so we couldn't unpack that. And I always said I was going to go back and do it. But why do you think that it is fear? Like every couple said fear is in the way of them having the relationship that they dream.
Wow.
Reggie, Bishop Woods, who going to touch?
I'll be more than happy to answer, but she opened it up for everybody. I'll take it last. I'll let you guys go first.
Because it was what C. Reggie started to say that made me think of it, but I've just been always wondering, what are we afraid of to open up? Let's take Dr. Michelle, because I would love to hear it. I don't know who else is married here, but even in a married relationship, how does fear play in, the vulnerability?
Let me drop in a note before you get the doctor. I got a note that says fear of the unknown, fear of performance, and fear of finances. Okay. All those particular things that could affect the one relationship. Dr. Michelle, what you say?
Well, when I came out of a relationship before I married my husband, which was with my kid's daddy, and it was a terrible relationship. I didn't have no walls up about the next relationship that I was getting ready to get in, because every man is different. So I wasn't going to handicap, my husband, who I'm with right now today, because we can handicap what the plan of God has because of the walls that we have up. So what I did was, and when I say, oh my God, the relationship was, I could have been dead, but I'm still here. And at that moment, God had put, my husband in my life that I'm with now. Now I could have had fear because of what my past was. And it reminds me, Apostle Paul said, forget about those things that which were behind you and press forward. So I had to end up stepping out by faith And I wasn't a faith woman at the time, but I was walking by faith. And at that time, that you don't go into a relationship all the time when someone always tell you that they love you. Show me. Don't tell me all the time. Show me that you love me. So he showed me that he loved me. And I'm glad that I did not have the walls up because of my relationship that I went through from the past. And plus he was in a relationship also that kind of terminated him, that he didn't trust women anymore. And that he said that he would not marry another woman. But as me being the girly girl in church, I broke those walls down because I had to show him action. Not kept telling him that I love him. I had to show myself approved. And that's what I did. And I think many women's that has been into turbulent relationship, you just need to step out by faith because every man is not the same. They are a man, but every man does not act alike. Come on, they're not going to be alike. They just a man. They're just individual. Even you can get a twin and they do not act alike, but they look alike.
Okay, Dr. Michelle, Bishop Woods, you silent tonight?
No, I'm not silent. I was waiting my turn. I really am enjoying this dialogue on tonight. I do want to say two things because I happen to be, I love when people bring up words. I love when people mention words. So my first aspect is this. Well, I'll go back and then I'll bring it forward. The word communion, common unity, is the bringing together, it's the exchange of thoughts and feelings. But the word communication, etymology, is the communicatio, which means the sharing or imparting. Once we have common union is what attracts us. We are attracted because we see either, whatever our particular taste is, we come together, we come to the table. We come to the table to sup. When we get to the table, what we say from our mouths and what we say non-verbally, because we haven't addressed the fact that non-verbal communication is even more powerful than verbal. 70% of our communication is non-verbal. And so then we begin to share and impart. Now, there's a healthy fear, and then there's an unhealthy fear. Healthy fear is good because it helps us to not be overconfident and feel as if we know what our partner wants, but it gives us the space to be able to have communicatio, which is communication, the space to impart and to share. The problem is the unhealthy fear that's been driven into us from media, racism, from the home mechanism. Mom and daddy didn't get along. I want a wife, not do her like my daddy did my mama. You get what I'm saying? And so that's that piece, that component. I'm a divorcee. Everybody knows that. I'm not ashamed of it. And when I got divorced, it was because I could not stress what it is I was trying to say. And I was able to get it done over the pulpit. I was able to get it done in board meetings, but I could not get it done in my house, no matter what I bought, no matter how much I said I love you, no matter how many letters I wrote, how many cards I brought to the table. My communication was ineffective. And we found out later, because we're very close to be continued, I leave that there. But we found out later, it was because she didn't understand the communication from a man. My tone set her back emotionally because the voice of a man drove her to the abuse that she suffered from her father and watched her mother suffer. So that's just my little piece on it.
Reggie, what's happening? I got a couple questions too before. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. You want to do the questions or what?
Well, let's say a couple questions right quick that I received real quick. The first one was, we talked about the fear. Women give up their power by pursuing a man instead of a man allowing a man to pursue him or her. Does that make sense? Women give up their power by pursuing a man instead of allowing a man to pursue her.
I'm not sure that it's a power struggle. I think if you go into a situation making it a power struggle, then it becomes a power struggle. But I do think that there is an order in terms of how that should be, and she's absolutely right. I do believe that the man should find her, but then when he finds her, she should be ready. She shouldn't have excessive baggage. going into the relationship. She should have gotten rid of all of that. She should know how to recognize. Recognition means that she's sat there and she's created what she wants, what's a fit for her in terms of she knows what her deal breakers are, her deal makers are, and she knows what her non-negotiables are. So she knows how to recognize because she sat down and taken the time to do the work as it relates to what she feels like she desires and what she feels like she deserves. And then when she meets that man, it's almost like a what I call a deja vu. So Kim, I don't know, but I deal with dating from an expanded conscious perspective. That just simply means it's empowering you to not focus on the things that are missing. Means I don't have a husband, I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have a wife, I don't have blah 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 blah. Because whatever you think about, that's what you bring about. And so whatever you focus on, that's what's going to expand. But we shift that and change that narrative to what you intend to create. So you become intentional in your attention, and you become intentional in your thinking. So now you begin to shift into gear as it relates to your thoughts, what you want to create. So that's the recognition. So once you understand how to recognize, then you get to that last place of receiving. So I do believe that a woman should let him find you, but when he does find you, you should be ready, know how to recognize and know how to receive.
And I think you said something, a power struggle or a fight. We started opening with that. Fight for, not against. And if you think about, I love when people say, into me, you see intimacy. I think I think that we are all afraid to really, truly just peel back the mask entirely. Ron and I talked about that before, your Instagram, face or the real face, you know what I mean? And so that's what it takes to have a great relationship, is to peel it all back. However, you can't do that if you don't have a safe space. You can't do that if you're not self-aware enough, love yourself enough to be able to communicate that when you speak to me, you're a big guy with a big tone. And when you stand up and you talk like that, it will make me afraid, Ron. You know what I mean? I have compassion now, even for my ex-husband who used to tell me, please don't talk to me like you're giving a presentation, like sit down. Like I was always like PowerPoint or with the thing. And I can see how that's intimidating. That makes me seem sassy. I couldn't receive that then, but I can see that now. So if we can't communicate what we want, what we don't want, Bishop T.D. Jakes said it, and it was scary how he said it last Sunday. I think it was last Sunday, might have been the one before last at E-Church. He was like, I can't have a sassy mouth, loud mouth woman. I can't do that. He said It was kind of, he was said it would end up with the district attorney in his front room, you know what I mean? But the point is, he knows himself, he can't deal with it. And if you look at Sarah, is that his wife's name? What's his wife's name? You know what I'm saying? His wife almost looks like this. Yeah, thank you. Karita. She looks like this sometimes. Like she's like not saying it, you know what I mean? But they have that agreement, right? Now, I might not be able to be with him, you know what I mean? Because I got a little sassafras to me. Dr. Keith said, we like you because you're aggressive and outspoken. I was like, is that a good thing? I'm trying to be gentle like Sarah and quiet spirit. That's not though, but I'm not that way. And I have to just own who I am. But then I also have to, wait a minute, let me just say this, but then I have to realize that who I am still can't run around steamrolling people, castrating people and all that. So I still have to check myself before I wreck myself and be true to myself at the same time.
Now, she just said something. In relationship, you said, I've got to own who I am. And most of the time, that's what doesn't happen in a relationship. We don't own who we are, and now the other person don't own who they are. So we got two false people.
But own it and reel it in. You still can't let that be an excuse. I'm just sassy, so I'm just going to do that. No, I know myself, so then I have to have emotional intelligence to have some self-control of myself if I want to be in a relationship.
Emotional intelligence. Boy, did she just say that's deep? You have to have emotional intelligence. You gotta think. Because it's just
not into 102 though. That's relationship 102, right? See, Reggie, we need to come back and talk 102.
Yeah, we'll do 102. We're gonna pick it back up. Anything else, Reggie?
No. I like
this, Bishop.
Oh boy, she took it. She allowed it to store.
Well, wait a minute, hold on a second. Did Reggie rescind and say Kim took it? Kim.
She allowed it to store. No, because I'm not here. I don't ever want. I'm not here. I'm here to compliment Kim. And we compliment each other. We're not competing. We compliment. That's a good relationship. When the concept of the relationship is all about complimenting and not competing. Too many relationships, male to female, or however in a relationship, they're going competing and not complimenting.
Oh, I'm gonna put that in the chat because they're on Facebook because women are on there. I tell you, they're talking. So you saying, say that one more time, Reggie?
I'm here to compliment Kim and not to compete with Kim.
And ladies, it starts with, I did that with him in the beginning. You get what you give. I listened to him and understood it, created a safe
Come on,
space
Kim.
for him to do the same.
Reciprocity. You get out what you put in.
Now, see, I got 5 minutes. And y'all trying to stir it up now. I got 5 minutes, and y'all trying to stir it up. Come on, Dr. Michelle.
Well, I want to kind of tap in what Dr. Kim was saying about the struggle power. But women has more power over men's, but we just have to know how to use and when to use. Yes, we have more power over you all. And we have to know how to use it and when to use it.
What?
Yes, we do.
What?
We do.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
We have
No.
more power. I'm saying.
Can I make some sense out of that, Doctor? Can I make some sense out of that?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
You guys from the manufacturer have two things that you can use if you know how to use it properly. That you can get a man to do anything you want. I agree with you, but it's how you use it. First of
That's
all,
right.
from the manufacturer is you guys have sex appeal. That's number one. Two,
Right.
you guys have women's intuition. That's from the manufacturer. So you can get a man to do anything you want him to do based off of how you package it. It's how you choose to use your words because of the sex appeal that you do have over that man, but it can be a friend or it can be a foe. So for example, let's say I'm not in the habit of making up my bed. And you get up in the morning and you say to me, I'm so sick and tired, you never make up your bed. I'm so sick and tired. You need to start making up your bed. Because I'm a warrior by nature, I'm not going to make up the bed because my defense mechanisms are going to rise.
Right.
But if you change that narrative and you say, baby, do you realize how sexy you are to me when you bend over and pull up those sheets, your biceps come up? You just look so hot to me. I get to see your triceps, and I love the way you pull up that blanket. Every morning when I just get so nervous. That's that sex appeal. I will make up the bed every day without you even having. You got what you wanted. All you did was shifted it and how you packaged it. You women have that from the manufacturer, but it can be a friend or a foe, and it just depends on how you decide to use it.
Right.
It's all in the approach. It's all in the approach. Listen, I got
That's
2 minutes. Man, the time go by so fast, and y'all getting all excited at the very end. I want the people to know how they can connect with KB. How can they connect with you?
At Coach Kim Betty on social media. KimBetty.com is my website.
Kim Betty, that's my friend and sister from Detroit. She's the bomb diggity, y'all. Ain't nobody like KB. And then, Reggie, how can people reach you?
On Instagram, you can find me at C. Reggie Rogers, Facebook, C. Reggie Rogers, Twitter, at Reggie Rogers, and my website is creggierogers.com.
Reggie, I gotta do this. I need your dad to come on here for 1 hour with me soon. And I want to just call all the pastors and the pastors meet. His father is an awesome man of God, and y'all need to hear, preachers need to hear the words from his father's mouth. I'm telling you, we got to work on that. That dropped in my spirit. I got to do that because pastors and preachers need time to really have that. So we're going to do that.
He just turned 85.
And he's got so much wisdom.
And still pastoring at 85.
Still pastoring. And still preaching. All right, how can people reach you, Dr. Ron Woods?
Preach Woods on all social media. Preach Woods.
Preach Woods on all social media. Some lady on here said, great show with the last name Woods. Okay, she was looking. All right, Dr. Michelle, how can people reach you?
Dr. Michelle Robinson on Facebook and Instagram.
Dr. Michelle Robinson on Facebook, Instagram. Dr. Michelle having a partners conference coming up very soon, back in the month of April. We'll talk more about it. Listen, guys, I just want to thank both of you, Reggie and Kim, for coming back. And we're going to come back probably in the next month or so with Relationship 102 and go further into it. I want y'all to do that with me. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We salute to Penny Rogers, who had to be the engineer there. She owns the network. She had the engineer because our friend Vivian is out. Listen, you can go to Instagram, Dr. Keith Farmer, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Connect with us. Do what we do. We'll be back soon next week. We got the next week. We'll be back. Interesting stuff coming up. Until next time, peace.
fun. Mhm.